You know
what's going on, man?
I'm a little
Frank Starfire.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm a simple guy, and I live my life by really simple means. You know what I mean? And, I live by simple mottos and credos and phrases and everything because it works for me. You know what I mean? Lately, I've adopted a new.
So, hello everybody. I am your boy Frank Starfire. This is the Just to Be Frank podcast. I want to thank you ever so much for joining me. Today, I have my good friend Tiffany Ealey with us today. And that was a hell of an alliteration, and I used that word like 18 times there. Don't worry about that. How you doing today, my lady?
Good. I'm doing good.
Good. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, please. Come on, man. Your family, Tiff. If anything, you are more than welcome. You have a open invitation anytime you just want to come sit down and chill. You know what I'm saying? Even if you just want to get away from kids for a while, just be like, yo, I need a little siesta. You know what I'm saying?
I need it.
Yeah, man. It happens to the worst of us. Trust me. I know. So, just for the record, I'll briefly explain how this all got started. So, Tiffany and I met. I was working at Walmart. Tiffany and I she was one of what they considered to be a difficult customer. And I didn't understand why they would think that she was a difficult customer. She just wanted her fruits and vegetables to be on point. That should not be a thing that should be like, oh my gosh, she's so difficult because she wants fresh produce. But humans are fucking stupid. So we had that dilemma. You know what I'm saying? But I came outside. We kicked it. She got good fruits and vegetables. I went back in a couple times, got some things. But she went back outside.
You were the only one that could do the produce.
Yeah,
you were
man.
The only one. I was like, where's
Listen, because it mattered to me that you got helped. You know what I'm saying? Because I could tell that, I don't know what it is, but I guess I could tell, like, this is the one area of your life you have total control over and you want what you want. You know what I'm saying? So I understood that and had no problem with that. So I was happy to help. And then over time, it developed into a bit of a friendship. And then, I know her, I know family, you know what I mean? And we got to talking about certain things, and it came to the realization that she was a Jehovah's Witness. And obviously, y'all know me, I'm a proud pagan. So I, of course, tried to immediately talk her out of it because I'm kind of a jerk at times. But no, seriously. But we just got to talking and building, and a friendship developed from that. And a few, I've known you now since 2000, 18, 19, something like that, somewhere thereabouts.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years.
Because I just had I had my middle daughter, yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and then and then I remember telling you I was pregnant with Scarlett. Yeah.
Yep. How many kids do you have?
Four.
Four? Okay. 4 is a good number. I'm the last of 4.
Even numbers.
Yeah, man. Can't go wrong with even numbers. And then, lo and behold, a few months go by now, I find you on Facebook, which, I'm glad that wasn't perceived as weird.
We had some fun conversations.
I'm just saying, I'm the Walmart dude. I ain't supposed to be searching people out on Facebook and shit. I shouldn't, but I felt like I left Walmart and I felt like there was no way in hell I would make it if I didn't have Tiffany information, like if I couldn't contact you. Like I felt bad, like damn man, that's my homie right there, man. I want to make sure she good, so I reached out, Facebook, boom, Facebook. Then about a month or two later, a month or two later, you post your exit strategy from Jehovah's Witness, which is a monumental decision. Talk about it. What first of all, what led to this decision?
Well, should I start at the very beginning?
Start at the very beginning, man.
Because there were a lot of things that led. So I always had doubts. I was raised in it from childhood, so indoctrinated into it.
Mm-hmm.
I had doubts throughout my childhood. Had doubts after I got married, on and off. There were just things that didn't sit right with me.
Right.
But when your whole family's in it, oftentimes you just wind up staying. We wind up staying, making excuses for things, or trying to, you know, put it on the back burner, not worry about it. So, years went by, and one day I was just sitting in the car with my daughter, and she asked me a question that I didn't have a good answer for. And it was strange because the question that she asked me like brought me back to my childhood.
Right.
Like it just brought me right back, like a flashback. And I remembered asking the same question to my parents and feeling like the answer wasn't satisfying.
Right.
And then here I was like regurgitating the same information to her. And something about that didn't sit right. For the first time it didn't sit right because it's not that, you know, my kids hadn't asked me questions before that were like,
Right.
like this sounds suspect.
Right, right.
Coming out of my mouth, it sounds suspect. But for some reason, it really hit me at that moment. And I answered the information the way we're taught to answer. And it was about, like, the anointed. So pretty much Jehovah's Witnesses believe that 144,000 people are going to heaven.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
I guess I lost my guess list.
You gotta have the ticket.
I got off that ticket early.
So, and out of the 144,000, it's like eight of them are part of the governing body.
Oh.
Yeah, only 8.
Oh, so
and
they
choose themselves.
Oh, so they're automatically in.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I see how that.
Yeah.
I see how that works. It's much like the government. Okay.
Yeah. Only they have the, you know, deep connection to God to give you all your answers. Pretty much. That's how it is. And so she had asked me, like, how do anointed people know they're anointed? You know, how do they even know? And I said,
How old is your daughter?
she was like 7 at the time.
And she's asking these big questions.
Yeah.
Those are big questions for a 7-year-old.
Huge, but it's like that's all they know, you know. So they think about it. They think about it, and they're going to these meetings twice a week. So, like I said, I must have asked the same question probably around the same age as she did. But when I'm answering her, I'm just thinking to myself like. Because there's like a rule within Jehovah's Witnesses that you kind of like don't ask. It's considered rude to ask an anointed person how they're anointed. So you never really know. You just have to
take it at face value. Faith.
Yeah, you just have to believe. But it's not even faith in God. It's faith in faith that these people are telling the truth.
Right.
And so I just like answered the question. I was like, they just know. I don't know, like, they're magic, it's just, they just know.
Alright, like, I don't know, it's magic. That explanation would have been okay for me.
Yeah.
I'd have taken that and ran with it, like, yo, it's magic, I don't even know.
Magic. They know. So, I think it was like that evening or the night after, I was sitting with my youngest daughter at the time, and I was rocking her to sleep. And it was, you know, one of those reflective moments. I'm looking at this beautiful old baby. And I just looked at her and I said, this mind is a brand new mind. I have a chance to be a part of molding this and helping her grow and giving her guidance. And I don't even know if I believe this.
Right.
So how am I teaching her this? It was like one of those moments, like the light switched on or something. And so then I said, you know what, from that moment on, I'm going to do research. And if it's the truth, as they say it is, then it's still going to be the truth at the end of the day.
Right.
And then I think it was like a matter of like hours.
You was like, well, that ain't the truth.
Yeah. I was like, this is the truth. There's so much information now. There's so much information.
Some would say too much. Yeah. But when you have access to that much information, how do you deny what's being presented to you?
Yeah.
You know, I get that.
And too much information could be a bad thing, but when you're in a situation like that, you know, to have the internet is literally life-changing because who knows what would have happened if I had that when I was a teenager and had those questions.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But you're told just take everyone's answers, you know, packaged answers and believe them.
Yeah.
So after that, it was just dismantled. Like I felt like my world was falling apart. Now I know it wasn't.
Right.
But at the time, that's how I felt. It was everything. You know, you put so much of your life into it. You make, you know, life-changing, life-altering decisions. Not small decisions.
No.
With this belief system in mind. And then it's gone. You know?
Somehow that seems remarkably evil. and unfair. Because it's, like I said, it's forced indoctrination. Mm-hmm. You don't get a chance to think for yourself, to try and expand your consciousness. You don't get you don't get the chance to go out and make friends, and they kind of curb that. You're not allowed to make friends.
I mean, if you talk to a Jehovah's Witness, they will tell you, oh yeah, you're allowed to make friends. Uh-huh. They will tell you that. That's the cookie cutter, like, oh, right. No, you can make friends. But what they don't tell you is that they tell you all the time, these people are just your associates.
Right.
Do not get close. They don't. They would always say, do they love Jehovah? If not, then they're not your real friends. So, and they always, like, the propaganda that they have at the meetings, it always puts people that aren't in the religion in a bad light.
Right.
Like, they're always the worst of society. Like,
oh, they'd want to stone my ass. Probably. Oh yeah, no, I already know. I ain't gonna lie. I've already come to the realization that if I lived in any other era other than this, I'd have been killed a lot of times. And you know, often just for half the crap that comes out of my mouth, let alone what I think. Jesus, oh man, no, they'd get me. I'd be drawn and quartered, tarred and feathered, beheaded, hung, whatever way they did it, I'd have it done. Like, they'd get me. Oh man. So, but you know that to not be true. That people outside of it can be your friends. People outside of it can care for you. We don't have we don't have to care for Jehovah to care about you.
I know that now, but when I was exiting, it was very foreign to me, because I'm 33. I've been in this literally my whole life, so. Mm-hmm. I went to school, but I went to school without being able to, like, I wasn't allowed to go over anyone's house, right. or have them come over my house, or it was none of that. It was like school back, no extracurricular activities, right. None of that. It was school back meetings, which are at the, for the religion. Right. But, so when I left, I was very suspect because I was like, okay, these people aren't what they say they are. Right. But according to what I've been taught, neither are these. Right. And like on a very basic level, of course I understood that just because they say that everyone's bad doesn't mean that they are. True. And I had experiences when I worked and everything like that where, obviously I understood, okay, they're nice people, it's not, but you never let yourself get close. You never really, you still imagine that there's an alternative motive for kindness. Right. Right. You're always looking for that edge, like, what do you want from me? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just embracing the idea, like, this is just somebody who's being kind. Mm-hmm. How difficult of the transition is that? From that extreme to now, the world is at your fingertips. It's oh my goodness, that's a big question. I mean, it's a huge transition. I feel like as time is going on, there's almost like the layers of an onion. There's mm-hmm. another layer coming off, and another layer coming off, another layer coming off of being open right. to what society has to offer, and right. Where am I going to go for my with my life from this point? Mm-hmm. Because every decision I made prior had to do with whatever was going to work best within those the confines of the religion. So now, but I will say, as far as seeing kindness, and this is where you kind of came in, mm-hmm. seeing kindness in people. While I was dealing with the whole transition of leaving, mm-hmm. I went through a massive depression. I've never been a depressed person, but I went through a massive depression like I've never experienced in my life during that time. And there were times where I didn't even want to get out of bed. Mm-hmm. I'd pick up my daughter, I would give her to my husband, he got home from work, I would sleep because I just had to sleep when my kids came home from school. They were in school at the time. Then I would be up, but mm-hmm. I would be trying to sleep as many hours as I can before they got up. And so I went through that deep depression, and in the middle of that, I would go to Walmart and have these conversations with you guys. Because I didn't know anybody else, right. really. I didn't know many other people outside the religion. Right. So that was like
almost like a field trip for you, almost. Like
It's
you
like
got,
a field trip.
you got to experience new and exciting people, the Walmart employees. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just the Walmart people, but yeah, I can see how that could work.
But like with my circumstances in particular, I was a stay-at-home mom for. I've had some temporary jobs here and there, but pretty much I've been a stay-at-home mom since my son has been born.
Right.
So there wasn't much interaction once I stopped working and stayed home with him, you know, with other people. So yeah, it was like, wow, people that don't view the world in the same way.
I want to talk to y'all. Right? What's up? How you doing? Is everything okay? Tell me what's new in the world. Did you see the iPod?
It's not hypothetical now, but you know what? But what got me is that everybody was so friendly, and like I remember one time I went there and I was crying, but I tried to wipe everything up before they came, and one of the employees there, I think it was Angel, he came out and he knew something was wrong right away, and he was asking me. I didn't feel open, free enough to open up to him, but he knew something was wrong, and I remember that meant a lot to me. And then having conversations with you, and I remember when I told you I was a Jehovah's Witness, what really struck me about our conversation is that you didn't respond with judgment or cynicism that sometimes you would get from people when you say, it's like you want to dig your head in the sand. You were nice about it. You were like, oh yeah, that's cool. I think we're all gods. I think you said something like that. You said something like that. And then you started talking about like me, like it would be nice if there was more of a matriarchy, and coming from a culture which is very misogynistic in nature, that was refreshing and a refreshing thought for me.
Yeah.
I just was like, that does sound nice. Not that I'm saying that it needs to be a matriarchy, but the idea that women could have a sense of power, or you know what I mean?
But it is, because what I find is that the advent of religion brought about the advent of patriarchy, and we kind of been going downhill ever since. You know what I mean? Like, you take away that nurturing aspect of what a woman is capable of, and on a mass scale, I think that's one of the most powerful things we could ever do, is just to have that and follow that lead. I don't know why we can't do that, but we're taught and trained that that women are the weaker of the species when, I mean, let's be honest here. I want to see one dude with a penis carry a frickin' child for 9 months. I want to see you do it. And then I want to hear you bitch and moan when it comes out, because it ain't coming out your asshole, buddy. It's not coming out there.
I'm sorry, I'm dying.
It
is an empowering experience.
I believe it, but I can only imagine how much it'll hurt and how powerful you are to be able to do it.
It's a beautiful experience, though.
What I find is that, and if you look at nature, the female of the species is always the more dominant, powerful of the species. Black widow spiders, bees, the queen bee, queen ant. Like, take the cues from nature, people. Like, I don't know, man. Like, worker bees do what they do. You know why? Because the queen told them to do that shit, and they do it. It works. There's not a flawed system here.
I never thought of that.
It's nature, man. But, so, you said, now, one of the things that they'll do now that you've actually left, let's talk about some of the hardships you face in that. Because I know they do the shunning thing like Hasidic Jews do, and that, I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of news to me, but it kind of wasn't, but that's kind of foul. Like, so, explain how that works, if you can.
So, the shunning is, in my opinion, one of the biggest offenses that they participate in. I feel like that's the most detrimental thing, because not all, but a lot of people that are in through indoctrination, through family indoctrination.
Right.
So when they leave, they're not just leaving their friends, their social structure, you know, different relationships that they met through that avenue, but they're also losing their family.
Right.
Their family, especially for people in my circumstances that their whole family is in. You lose everybody at once, like that. You know, snap of the finger.
I want to ask this next question kind of delicately, I guess. Your kids are in it. You're no longer in it. What if your kids decide, we want to be like mom? You know what I'm saying? Do they have a choice?
I mean, if you ask, you know, a witness, they'll say, oh yeah, they have a choice. They have to choose whether or not they're baptized. They will always say that they have a choice.
The canned answer is, yes, they have a choice, but the real is no.
They don't have a choice whether or not they have to attend meetings. They'll say, oh, well, they have a choice whether or not they will get baptized. They have a choice whether or not they officially become Jehovah's Witnesses. But up until a certain point, we have to take them and stuff like that. Which, you know, to a certain degree, I understand. The thing that makes it tricky is that kids are vulnerable. Their minds are vulnerable. And so I think that's where the challenge comes in, is instilling them with enough knowledge to actually have a choice, to understand that acceptance from family is not worth the price of changing yourself completely, aligning yourself with things that you don't truly believe in. It's not worth the sacrifice that you make in your life choices. So with my kids, I do share what I feel with them and what I believe with them, but I always tell them, you know what, this is what I believe, and you have to figure out what you believe. And the reason being is, I feel like when you force your belief system on your kids, then the opposite just happens.
They rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way I go about it is, I tell myself, I'm going to live the best life and the happiest life that I can live, and I'm going to let them witness that. And so I think that's the greatest teacher.
Isn't that kind of contrary to their entire, or to your entire upbringing, life? Like, you're not supposed to live life to the fullest. How dare you want to enjoy life and have fun and wear skirts?
I'll be honest with you, we did have fun. Like, we had fun. It was just a different type of fun.
Right.
But we had fun. I mean, we had parties, did the whole cha-cha slide thing. Like, we did. That was like the game.
All right, listen, it's not a real party. The cha-cha slide or the electric slide don't happen.
No.
It's not a real party.
You try not to go too low, you know, like during that part, but...
But then that one person who does, you get him.
That stuff like that did happen. Like,
serious?
there were people that got talked to after
you be
parties.
slow dancing, be like, don't leave room for Jehovah.
The dating situation in that.
Oh my God.
It was the most awkward experience ever.
Oh, I can believe it.
Yeah, talking about that. So I don't know at some point if you want to talk about that, but the whole chaperoning thing that happened.
Sure, you know what? Let's go into that. Let's talk about that, because that's hilarious to me. So you have to have like an adult watching you the whole time you're on a date or something? You have to have, you just have to have somebody with you at all times. Yeah, and they kind of like keep an eye and make sure you're not getting into trouble. But from what I can gather, it's mainly only designed to make sure that you women stayed in line.
It's really as far as that goes, I would say it's really for both parties. It's so that you don't sin. You don't. I'm like serious, so that you don't have sex. That is the whole purpose of it.
Right, but if they decide to take somebody into the back room and do some devious shit, that's okay.
What do you mean?
Molestation and things of that nature.
I mean,
that happens.
So the organization itself does have an issue with child abuse. I mean, that is known at this point. I know they had this big thing in Australia. It was called the Australian Royal Commission, and a lot of things came back out, things that they were hiding, and that was one of the first things I researched. That I said, oh my gosh, I can't be a part of this anymore.
Right.
So at that point, I was like, okay, this is questionable, But even within my time within the organization, I saw things happen, but it's not like, oh, I'm gonna take this child in the back room and it wasn't really like that. It was in the circumstances that I saw, and I'm not saying that there aren't times where something like that happened. But the circumstances that I saw was more like something happened with a person in the congregation, and then the elders encouraged that person not to go to the police. So this is where the thing is. They're starting to get a little bit better because of activism, and people saying this is wrong. You can't tell them not to go to the police. But I had a friend that I had that experience where she was told, "Do not go to the police." Good. The good thing about her is that she did it anyway.
Good job.
But thankfully.
Now, did she face repercussions for that?
She didn't face repercussions for that. But she was a young kid. She still had to see him. Like after he actually wound up going to prison for a little bit, but when he got out, she had to see him at assemblies. She had to be a part of it.
Oh, he's allowed back in.
Yeah.
But if she'd have sinned, she'd have been kicked out.
Well, I think he got reproved. I'm trying to remember. I think he got, so many years ago, I think he got reproved, which means, excuse me, which means that he lost his privileges. Like he wasn't allowed to comment, which is like where you raise your hand at the meetings. He wasn't allowed to go on service for a while, which is where you knock on the doors. Right. But I don't think he was disfellowshipped, if I can remember. But that was a long time ago. But she, she could have gotten kicked out for something that, if she had done something, quote unquote, sin.
Is she still in it?
She's not.
Good girl.
Yeah, she left. She left young.
So, so it's not like you don't have impetus and, people to look to say, hey, you've done this, I can do this. Right? Well, like, you've seen people leave it.
Yes. I did see a lot of people leave. And most of the people that I saw leave had a lot of family that weren't in the religion. Okay. Making it slightly easier. Or they did something wrong, got disfellowshipped, and then in the middle of that realized they didn't want to go back. Okay. So there were people that left. It's not like but the emotional trauma of leaving keeps so many people stuck.
What would constitute something that would be a trespass worthy enough of being kicked out?
Having sex outside of marriage, drugs, what else? Oh, like certain holidays, if you celebrate certain holidays.
Don't let me see a Christmas tree at your house.
No, if they see Christmas lights, you're out.
Oh, man.
But let's see, what else? There's a lot of things. They actually, their elders book, which is like a secret book that the mainstream people can't see, has a whole list of things that can be, and which the congregation isn't provided, the whole list. But there's a huge list of things you can get in trouble for.
We should steal that book.
What?
We should steal that book.
It's online.
Is it really?
You can the whole thing. I did you can find the whole thing because there are elders that
posted it online.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, you, as a congregation, you can't read it, but I, as an average Joe, could just be like, fuck you.
Oh yeah, you can read it.
Google this. Oh, hey Ezekiel, did you not know? That's funny.
No, and you know how secretive it is. I don't know if in the newer edition they wrote this, but in the older edition, they had a rule in which you could get it bound by somebody, but it could not be by a female, and it could not be by your wife. They could not bind the book.
What do you mean? What do you mean you can bind the book like
what you get done at Staples?
Right.
Your wife could not be responsible. A woman could not be responsible. You can have a worldly male bind your book. You can have a person, a male in the congregation bind your book, but not a woman.
Why?
Your guess is as good as mine.
All right. So all right.
I'm assuming it's because there's information in there they definitely don't want women to see.
Right. Oh yeah, like how powerful you actually are, and if you figured this out, you all would take over and whoop their ass.
I think it more has to do with just the submission role too, whereas everything is like, the women stay here and the
men stay there.
Yeah.
That's so dirt. That's such dirt. oh, that's annoying, you know? Like, so they'll shun you. And I remember, and we spoke about it before, but they'll, like, even if you're out with your kids, they'll talk to your kids, but they'll ignore you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's been, honestly, that's been one of my biggest challenges emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it's not in my face, you kind of just try to go about your day and not think about it. But when it slaps you in the face, I actually had it happen to me today when I went to Walmart. My kids weren't with me, thankfully, but, he looked me dead in the eye, and then someone I've known since I've been little.
Right.
But one time I was out with one of my kids, and I had to go into the diaper aisle, and at first I was thinking to myself, you know what, let me just go in the other aisle. But then I said, why am I doing that?
Right.
I was going there. I'm not going there just because this person is there. So I went in the aisle, and it's so funny, she got eye contact with me. And she was like, oh, awkward situation. Mm-hmm. Like, her alarm bells went off. So she starts backing up with her cart in the aisle. Whoa. I can laugh about it now.
Hey,
at the time I was upset. But,
all right.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
And then she wound up realizing that I caught sight of her, and that it looked ridiculous. So she went down past us, and then spoke to my daughter, but refused to speak to me.
And that's just rude, disrespectful. Yeah. Now, God, I hope one of your kids does this. What if your daughter was like, you see my mom standing right there, right?
She does sometimes.
She does that?
She does sometimes. She'll say you can call her. You can call her yourself.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad she does that.
Yeah.
Because they try to shame the parents.
Yeah.
And
your daughter doesn't seem to be having none of it.
No.
She's probably going to follow you.
It's hard because what I don't have to offer her is family outside of the religion.
Yeah, but you know what? Family is who you make of it. It's not who you're given. You know what I'm saying? We're all given family, but throughout life, you get to choose who your family is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's my brother. Not blood, my brother. It's my brother. You know what I'm saying? His mom and dad sent me a Christmas card. Like, you know what I'm saying? They my parents. Not blood related. That's my family. You know what I'm saying? My brothers, my friend, those the people I choose to have around me because they're the ones that have shown that they're loving and they care. That's your family.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's for me. I'm not here.
No. I'm silent. I'm sorry. I thought I turned it off.
You know what I'm saying? No, you're good. It's, family is important, but the family that really accepts you for you, that's what's more important. Unconditional love is the most highest form of love there is. What are you doing, Kat? Why are you being a chucklehead? You'll never do this. Yo, dude, back up, man. Hurry up. He never does this. Like, he interacts with any of this stuff. Now he's showing out because you're here. You know what I'm saying? Yo, man, I get it. You got a crush on her. I do too, man. It's all right. Cut it out. Damn, man, relax. Jeez, man, my cat's crazy. But no, the cat's in the cradle and silver spoon. You know what I mean? But no, like, that's your daughter, and your daughter's learned early on that your family is who you make it. You know what I'm saying? And I guarantee you, and your daughter's the oldest, or your son is the oldest?
My son's the oldest.
You have the older, right? And how does he feel? If you could quantify.
Out of respect for them, I'm like not going to share how they feel about things.
Fine.
But it's been a challenge for. All I will say is that it's been a real challenge for both of them, and I think people underestimate the power of connection and what that can do to people, and the desire to have it.
Yes, indeed.
Feeling a part of that tribe, and your family is your first little tribe that you have.
It is.
So, and the other thing is. My husband is still in, and I won't talk too much on that end.
Right.
I know that. But following me and things like that, it's like I want them. There's a part of me that would just like them to, if I'm being honest, to walk away and never look back.
Right.
But I also understand their desire to need that connection to their family.
Right.
So it's a fine line between, you know what I mean?
It's a balancing act.
Exactly.
And I lie, I think it's probably unfair to ask of kids. Maybe? Like.
You can't make them choose.
No, right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you can't make them choose, especially their children. Like, but I largely believe like all these types of decisions, what religion you're gonna follow, and this, that, and the third, all that should be made when you are an adult. Like, you shouldn't have to make any of these choices when you're a child. You shouldn't have any of this railroaded into you. Like, you should be able to make up your own mind based on what you observe and how you feel and what you witness. You know what I'm saying? Poor choice of words there. It works.
Knock them out.
Yeah, I'm saying, but you should definitely, kids, like, you shouldn't make decisions like that until you're, like, in your 20s. Your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25, so why are you making life-altering decisions at, like, 15, 16, 17, 18? You know what I'm saying? And I think that largely goes back to that very archaic idea that, well, especially for girls, that, well, if you've had your period, you can have kids, and therefore you're an adult. Let's marry you off.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird, man. This world is going through some weird shit.
Well, the other thing is, like, even if you read the Bible, Jesus himself didn't get baptized until he was 30.
Right.
He was way into adulthood at the point he got baptized.
And if we're really being honest, the missing years of Jesus' life, I think, is most important. Because that was probably when he was on that, hold on, this is Jesus party now. I wonder why, bitches, let's get it! How we do? Party in Bethlehem! Let's rock out where the donkeys at. We gonna chill. I don't know.
He went through his rebellious
stage. Yeah, man. That's why they didn't write about it. That's why all them books is locked in the Vatican, and they'll never let us see them.
No, it's. Oh my gosh, I had another point too. I didn't even remember where I was at with that.
Little levity helps, man. I swear. But no, you're right. The Bible does show some very.
I remember.
Things. Yeah.
I remember now. So the whole consent thing.
Right.
So it's, it's not like they're going to sit there and tie your hands behind your back and force you to get baptized. It's not like that. It's very subtle pressure.
Right.
It's emotional. And to me it's almost like emotional warfare.
Yeah.
That's the best age.
Yeah.
There's such pressure from everyone in your community to get baptized, and I feel like they're pressuring more and more for young people to get baptized.
Right. Well, they gotta earn the ranks because people are jumping ship left and right, aren't they?
Oh, they are. Yeah, I think the numbers are dwindling, and I think that's why they have to take the measures that they do, because they wouldn't keep people if everybody can talk about how they felt.
I'd offer you whiskey, but I don't think you're allowed to drink.
I don't want whiskey, but I'm allowed to drink. I was allowed to drink even as a witness.
Oh, really? Okay, I ain't gonna lie. I thought that was one of those things that they're not allowed to do.
No, you can. You're just not supposed to get drunk. You're just not supposed to get drunk.
Well, what? How does that even work?
You drink until you have a mild, like,
I love mild buzz.
Zen feeling, and then you're just done.
Oh my gosh!
Nothing past the
mild Zen feeling. Okay, so all right. So you are allowed to drink. Yeah. You can. They probably can't smoke pot. That's for sure.
No.
Can't do that. But it's from the earth. It's God gave it to us. It's green.
Who knows if eventually they'll
some enterprising young fellow is listening. Gonna be listening to this like, you're right, Frank, sir.
You know what? I do think now they're starting to kind of say, like, for medical use.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Well, but you can't get a blood transfusion to save your life.
No, you can't get a blood transfusion. That was another thing.
That's fucking crazy, man. And what is the thesis behind that? That the blood is impure because they are not Jehovah's?
No. It has to do with the scripture in the Bible that talks about not eating blood. But it was referring to animals, to appreciating that the life that was lost. There's no life lost when you
do a blood transfusion. And not for nothing, whoever wrote that passage in the Bible obviously never had steak. And if he did, he obviously couldn't cook.
You're not supposed to have blood, like any kind of meat with blood.
Yeah,
like those blood sausages and stuff. That's
I don't eat that. That's weird to me.
It is to me too, but I'm just saying, as witnesses, like, you're not.
Yeah, but like a medium rare steak, you can't eat that. Medium well, medium.
Oh no, you can do that.
Okay,
I guess that's.
But that's blood.
I guess that's like not so much blood. There's they have a thing now where you can take blood fractions, which years ago was not a thing.
What's a blood fraction?
It's like where they take so I don't know the exact science behind it, but they take like components of the blood, and they'll use those components for different treatments, but they can't take the whole blood.
So they'll take like platelets.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because I've given platelets. I give blood frequently.
Yeah.
And here in the great state of Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, they'll actually pay you for that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
I actually donated blood for the first time like a month ago. That was a big deal. You know?
I'll ask you offhand what's your blood type. I don't want you telling all these people. They don't need to know that shit. They don't need to know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm O positive though, because you know, full disclosure, I don't give a shit. What are you going to do? Take it from me? No, you don't want my organs. you don't want these. They've been put through the ringer. All right, so that's it. And now, having left, you say this is driven a wedge between you and your family, your mom, your dad, the fellow people in the thing.
I'm not going to mention exactly by name
right.
the people.
No, not at all.
But yeah, it's created a wedge between pretty much me and all of my family. And even the ones that do have a slight kind of break the rules and bend the rules a little bit, that I have a slight relationship with, it's not the same. And they you know, flat out told me it's not the same. That it's, you know, some of them told me it's just for the kids.
Right.
Where I'm keeping in touch with you pretty much for the kids.
Oh man.
So it's.
So Tiffany, man, the way I look at it is simply like this, man. If the people who are supposed to be your family are telling you flat out that they're not, and we're only here for X, Y, Z, you're better off without them.
Yeah.
Because family has your back regardless of what you.
She keeps coming up to me. I want that.
Well, he's a guy. That might be.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, like you should never be made to feel less than by anybody, and nobody. I don't give a fuck what religion, what God you follow. Nobody has the right to make you feel less than. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You should not have to kowtow to these archaic beliefs written back in the 20s. I don't even know how old the Jehovah Witnesses is, but I figure it's not
1900s.
Yeah, so early 1900s, right. So these are archaic-ass rules written by some asshole back then who decided that there's only 1,400 people that's going to make it into heaven, and us 8 are the top ones, so the rest of y'all going to have to figure it out. I can't see how you're not better off. You know what I'm saying? Now, unfortunately, that's from the outside looking in, and that's me being very jaded about the idea simply because I've already been jaded about the idea. But when I see somebody that I care about hurt and pain, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that they're hurt and in pain, and I don't want them to feel that way, so I don't want you to be hurt and in pain. You know what I'm saying? But the only thing I can think of for you to not be hurt and in pain is to recognize that no matter what, you're better off.
And I appreciate you saying that. And, you know, I've tried to do a lot of healing through this whole process and everything like that. And I would say that I'm getting to the point now where I realize the relationships I want to have in my life are going to be relationships in which I can be authentic. Right. And I can be myself. Yeah. And, I mean, there are times where it still hurts naturally when things come up, but it's getting better and better and better. And not that I don't miss the relationships. I mean, these are people I knew my whole life. Right. You don't just get rid of those feelings overnight. But I don't think you ever fully get rid of those feelings, especially when it's certain people. But but I am getting to the point now where I do realize that and appreciate being able to be completely myself with people and not having to censor myself and, you know, pretend that I believe something. I felt like I spent so many years pretending. because I knew, like, instinctually, you know, my intuition told me that there were issues. And because of the fear that's perpetuated, I stayed.
Let's talk about that fear. What is it that they instill in you that gives you that fear of leaving?
Well, they give you the fear of the outside world, for one. They give you the fear of letting you know that you will... there's guilt and fear connected to this one, is where you know you're going to lose your family. You're fearful of that, even if you know it's for your best interest. Even for emotionally or what have you, it still hurts. There's no getting around that. And then if you're connected to these people, a lot of them are connected financially or in other ways. So you're talking about losing their livelihood. But also there's guilt involved, because they teach you, you know what, if you leave, you're hurting your family. And what they tell you is, if you leave, you're leaving us. We're not leaving you. You're leaving us. Yeah, so they actually shame the victim. Like, and I don't have a victim mentality anymore. I think when I first left, I was like, oh, why did this have to happen to me? But you start moving away from that and getting to a better place. And, but the reality is they're the ones hurting you. They're choosing not to talk to you. It's not the other way around. I actually left because I needed to tell the truth. And that's what got me. Because we always kind of were sent the message that if you leave, it's because you want to do something wrong. It's because you can't live according to the standards. It's because... But I left because I didn't want to live a lie. Which shocked even me. That's why I left. I was like, oh, you can leave for normal reasons. And then it made me start thinking of all the other people that left before me.
So you felt empowered by leaving.
Yeah, I did.
But it took a while to really register, I guess, that you did leave, and you are empowered, and you're not less than for doing so. Yeah. I mean, and especially in the way in which I left, gave me some of my power back, gave me a lot of my power back. Made me feel like I was more in control of the situation. You had to write a letter and then hand it in, basically. Well, I was gonna say, did you do that, or did you? I didn't actually hand in my letter to anybody. I didn't do it the way that you're supposed to. How'd you do it? So I knew how the culture worked. I knew the gossip culture. I knew that if I left, there were going to be people spreading rumors. My kids were probably going to hear them, that I did something wrong, like cheated on their father or something like that. Yeah, so, you know, those were ideas, because they always have to imagine, even though, you know, it's not like they're going to say that from the platform, but the people within it always have to imagine that you left. You did some devious shit. Because you did something wrong. Yeah. Cheating on your husband, that's something you don't leave for, but I guarantee you husbands have cheated on their wives and it makes no difference. No, but I mean, I didn't want my kids having to deal with rumors like that. So I knew that, and I also knew that if I didn't put my version out there, that people were just going to assume whatever they wanted to. And I still... Even though I knew I had to leave, I still had connection to people. I still cared about the people I was leaving. So I wrote a letter and I posted it on Facebook. There you go. There you go. Like it, love it, share it. Like, yeah. That's how I found out. I saw it on Facebook. And I read the whole thing. And then I reread it. And then I reread it again. Because I guess instinctively, I kind of knew that what you had just done was kind of huge. I didn't know how huge. But I kind of knew instinctively that what you had just done was like something you were not supposed to do. But I said it in there, and I'll say it again. I was so proud of you. I was so proud of you. It made me smile. It brought happiness to me because it let me know that somebody can be empowered and you can find a better path or another alternative, and you don't have to be subjugated, and you don't have to be made to feel less than, especially by those who are supposed to uplift you. So I'm proud of you.
I appreciate
Word
that.
up.
Like,
That was big, man.
It was. I mean, for me, it was on a personal level, because I felt like if I had stayed in and tried to, because for a long time I tried to kind of keep it secret.
Right.
Because I think it was like a whole year and a half or something like that I pretended.
Right. Well, the first time we spoke about that, and that was, I want to say, fall of 2018.
And I was already having doubts back then. I was already having doubts when we spoke.
Right.
That's why I wasn't saying it to you with a sense of pride. I was like, I'm a Jehovah's Witness.
Right. Well, I could have noticed that too.
You know what I mean?
But I didn't want to make you feel weird, but like, damn, but you're happy to be there.
Yeah, I wasn't. I felt very empty. So when we talked about it, it was just, I wasn't saying it happy, you know.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was.
And besides, we had to make sure your fruits and vegetables was good anyway.
Yeah,
like, that
was our main
That was our
conversation.
main thing, you know what I mean? But you know, it's interesting that such a small interaction, what somebody consider a very small interaction, could lead to something so monumental. This is something that you're going to have to deal with for the remainder of your days, I guess.
Unless I go back, which I know I'm not going to do.
Yeah, you're probably not doing that.
Yeah, they won't.
And even if you tried, would they let you?
I mean, I could go back. I will never be fully accepted by anyone in that.
Right.
Not really, because I've seen people leave, especially disassociate the way I did. I don't think there would really be a place for me anyway. I don't want to go back.
What if you moved to, like, Nebraska?
I guess if I went somewhere and they didn't know.
Right, they didn't know
I could kind
yet.
of blend in, but
you'd still be faking it.
I would be faking it, yeah. I would be faking it. But I did that for a while, and that was soul-sucking.
So how did they...
Soul-sucking.
I mean, how did you kind of get around that? I mean, you're there, you're doing meetings 3-4 times a week, right? Like, you know, how do you blend in without giving up your hand? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I just tried to fake a smile. I actually wrote that in my letter. I would go and just be like, smile. Like I would coach myself before I went in, just smile. And it actually got to the point where I started getting anxiety attacks. And that was when I started knowing even more, like, I have to do something about this. Because it was getting so bad, like just entering the parking lot would bother me, because all the conversations were surrounded about believing this.
Right.
And so every interaction I had was me acting. And it didn't feel right after a while.
Yeah.
So that's how I did it. I mean, I remember, thankfully, like towards the end, I was pregnant with my last daughter, and so I would miss a lot of the meetings and just be like, I'm nauseous.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
You know, I'm nauseous, so I missed a lot at the end there. Didn't have to deal with it quite as much.
Yeah.
You know, just let people think I was sick.
So now, I want to ask you about how your family and everything, but I don't want to either at the same time. But your youngest, they're going to grow up in this.
The thing that I'm learning is I can only have control over myself.
Okay.
That is it.
That's it.
At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. And I think as parents, no matter what we want our children to be, they're going to choose their own path anyway. That's what kind of gives me peace.
Okay.
And that's where going back on the whole thing of I'm just going to try to be the happiest person I can be. Right. So that I show them, you know, you can leave and still be happy.
Right.
Because they are going to be, I mean, it's freedom of religion. They will continue to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have control over that.
Well, you say freedom of religion, but that doesn't exactly sound like freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like that does not sound like freedom. Freedom is the ability to choose. Like, now I don't feel like going in there, man. I'll be good. I'll see y'all later.
Yes, but there's also freedom for parents to teach
Right.
their children what they feel is right to teach them.
Right.
And you know, it's funny, when I left, I imagined that I would bring all the facts to my family, and they would be like, "Holy crap!
You're right.
I didn't know this," and then they would just skip off into the distance with me. But that's not really how brainwashing works.
Did you really think that would happen? Like,
You know, honestly, I thought so because it was so easy for me to see. That from my perspective, I just imagined that it would be so easy for them to see.
So what does that tell you then?
It's extreme indoctrination and brainwashing.
And that you, thanks to your fluoride-free, super no petrochemical, you're smarter than everybody else. And I'm telling you, Tiffany, that's what that means. Like, you're able to use your cognitive functions to make a cognitive decision about something that really is important. And since your brain isn't bogged down by those petrochemicals that allow for brainwashing, you're better equipped to see through it.
I never made that connection. I don't know. I feel like the reason why it was easier for me to see through it is because my childhood in it sucked.
Right.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I saw so much hypocrisy growing up that it was easy for me to be like, this doesn't make sense.
Tell me about it.
I mean, it was a lot of different things. Like, I told you about that one experience with my friend. I had another experience where we went to a party and an older, he was someone, like, taking the lead. I think he was, like, a servant, which is, like, underneath elders.
Okay.
Elders and servant. He grabbed, like, he got drunk, he grabbed a young girl's ass. Like, she thinks she was, like, 13.
Oh, God.
And, yeah. And when we went to the brothers about it, and I'm thinking, we're going to get help. And I said, I remember standing there, and I was with somebody that was supposed to be protecting me. And I remember standing there saying, that's sexual harassment. At the very least, that's sexual harassment. I was young at this time. I think I was maybe like 14.
Right.
And I was like, at the very least, that's sexual harassment. And I'm thinking everybody else is going to hear me and agree with that. And thinking to myself, this is also an underage person.
Right.
But the elder, I still remember, like, and it's one of those clear memories because it bothered me so deeply.
Right.
But he just laughed and he said, that's not sexual harassment. They won't do anything. And, you know, I think he lost some privileges for a while. But ironically enough, they came to me around, the elders came to me around 3 or 4 times and tried to get him to serve again, to have some kind of position again, even though he was looking at underage girls.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. There's no recourse for it because he knew he was going to get off. He knew he could get away with it, and he knew that it was okay for him to do. You know what I'm saying? You, as a woman, have no voice in that. And unfortunately, that's kind of the way it is in society, period. I mean, women don't always have a voice. I'm not saying, and this goes into that hashtag Me Too thing. Like, I don't think the idea that you should believe every woman. But when women are speaking, especially about things of this nature, listen. Like, if you feel like they're bullshitting or if they're lying or whatever the case may be, that's one thing. But at least hear them out. You don't got to believe everybody, but hear them out. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when you don't, or more often than not when you don't, you just wind up allowing the cycle to continue. It's not fair. It's not fair. I don't have any kids. But I know a lot of young ladies, and I wouldn't want any of them to have to go through that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also a firm believer that every young lady should know martial arts or some form of self-defense.
I wanted to take martial arts growing up.
Take
I actually
martial
did.
arts.
I will. But I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Take martial arts, man. You are an empowered young woman now. You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Including
saying?
some karate chops.
There you go. You know what I'm saying? Drink your kombucha, hit the gym, you be alright. Although maybe not right after you drink the kombucha. That can lead to bad. Can't lie. It's kind of fermented. You might crop dust anybody. But what about, like, and you said this is enforced indoctrination now, and like we said, you're smarter than a lot of people, obviously.
I don't think, ironically enough, I don't think intelligence has anything to do with it. I don't. And the reason, because I had somebody else say the same thing to me. Oh, that's because you're smart and they're not. But honestly, it's easy to say until you're in that situation.
Sure.
I know some intelligent, highly intelligent people that will blow me out of the water in terms of their understanding of science and everything else, where I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? Yet they will still believe this.
Right, but intelligence is demarked by more than just what you know.
It's true.
It's an innate internal clock, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Critical
like
thinking
yours, yours is functioning at a different wavelength because you don't have all the chemicals. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how long you've been on your vegan super antioxidant kick, but
long time.
a long time.
But I knew other witnesses that ate very similar to me, and they're still in.
Right.
I think it's.
Well, they also didn't know me.
I'm a huge advocate of eating well, and now that affects our mind and the way and our health and everything like that. But I feel like the emotional pull and the trauma in which is created is much more powerful than most people understand. I think the religion itself has been identified as a cult.
Right.
And Stephen Hassan, he's one of the leading cult experts. He came up with a model called the BITE model, which stands for, I believe it's like behavior control, information control, I forgot the T, thought control, and then the E, what is the E? I wrote it down somewhere. If I find it, I'll get it.
You can research it.
And I forgot the last one, but they control you in all these different aspects of your life.
Emotional.
Emotional control. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Emotional.
Behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. So when you imagine all those different things working against you, and there's just layer on top of layer of conditioning that you learn to accept.
Right.
And you think that not only accept it, but you think these things are going to save your life.
And yet you find out that that's wrong.
Yeah. And it really is information. I mean, information control is massive in that organization.
So
they try to keep things quiet.
Right. So you get no information, and they don't have their own schools per se, but you'll go to public school and you'll take those teachings home, but what do they tell you about what you learned in school? Like, no, that's not true. Evolution isn't real. Dinosaurs didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically real scientific shit that's actually real, they'll be like, no, that's not real. That didn't actually happen. The school's lying to you. We know better.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of witnesses will put their kids, there's a huge in school, but there's also a huge group of them that will homeschool, and I think it's a big part of controlling the information that they're getting. But it's not mandated. It's not like they even tell you should homeschool. That they don't do that.
Right.
But a lot of them choose to because of bad association. They don't want that corrupting their kids.
They don't want you having friends.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want you sharing candy with people. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Don't give away your muffins.
But I lost my train of thought now. So what did you ask at that point? You were saying that. I'm trying to remember.
Well, we were trying to determine, like, if they are. You said they were controlling it through those methods, emotional and what have you, and then we continued from there. But they don't. But you go to, like I said, you'll go to school, but you're not allowed to have friends.
I know what you were talking about. You were mentioning how what do they kind of like try to counteract what you're learning in school?
Right.
The answer would be yes. It's always, when you go home, scientists don't know everything. I remember a witness actually telling me that dinosaurs may have been possibly planted by Satan. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. The fossils were like planted by Satan underground as a way to like lead people astray. Because it wasn't in the Bible. No, that's not a thought that all witnesses hold.
But that's hilarious. That's like, I don't get it. Like, how do people just hear this shit and be like, yo, that's funny? Like, you gotta hear it and be like, yo, it's a comedy routine, right? Y'all really believe that? Oh, all right.
I remember when somebody told me that, it was actually when I was already starting to know that it wasn't real or true or whatever, and I was just like, took me everything to just bite my tongue and just not say anything. Because internally I was chuckling, but you know, as silly as it sounds, it's that whole cognitive dissonance.
Oh yeah, I know it well.
It's too painful to admit that your belief system is wrong, so you'll find other ways to make it fit within that.
You'll justify it.
Yeah.
You'll justify it. And I'll tell you what. Well, I guess my next question is what's next for Tiffany Ealey? What do you do? Do you find a job and just chill, or like what do you do?
Well, I definitely want to work. It's a little challenging with the pandemic and the kids right now. Yeah, you know, they're not in school or anything. I do eventually want to start a YouTube channel.
Okay.
I want to share some of my experiences, help other people. I would love to help people that are leaving cults, but also help people dealing with different emotional trauma. And, you know.
Well, all right. So say you've got a young person who's looking to leave. What would you say to them? Like somebody who's like right before they're about to be baptized or what have you, and they're like, nah, this ain't for me, man. Like, how do I get out of this? What would you say to them?
I would say find your exit strategy. I mean, it would depend on the circumstances, I guess, but don't trade your authenticity for approval. Like, and don't waste your time, because the more years you're in, the more woven things get and the harder it is to leave. So if you're having doubts, do the research. Don't be afraid of research. They tell you that so that you are stuck.
Right.
They don't tell you that for your benefit. So, and get help. Find help. Talk to people that understand. There are so many resources now for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and people leaving all sorts of like high control groups and stuff. I know with Jehovah's Witnesses, like XJW Reddit was huge for me because I could interact with people that understood before I actually met anybody in person. And so talk to people, seek help even from a therapist. There's nothing wrong with that.
You did that.
I did.
Are you still going?
I still do go. So the first therapist I had, it was very interesting because she had no idea the ramifications of really being within that religion. So I almost had to educate her through the process in a way, because I don't think there's, at least in this area, a lot of people that understand what happens when you leave a cult.
Right.
So I remember at first she's like, oh, they won't really shun you. And, oh, the propaganda can't be that bad. I literally had to show her videos of, like, you know, the video where they were hiding out in their bunker from the police, you know. So, yeah, they have videos like that. Yep. Okay, the witnesses are hiding in a bunker and the police are coming after just them.
Why?
Because they're one in true religion, you know, and they're going to be the last religion standing.
Okay.
So, and remember, it's not just adults that have to see these videos. It's kids having to see police breaking down the door, boom, 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 you know, and they're in a little bunker.
Right.
Then the angels coming out of the sky, you know. You know, and to be fair, you know, I do have faith in God, but it's just like,
it's no longer the indoctrinated faith of what Jehovah's Witnesses give you.
Yeah. So, and imagining that they have the monopoly over a connection with God, you know, it's just kind of bizarre when I think about it now, but yeah. So I had to educate her through that, and then she was a very religious person herself. So, like, towards the end of our sessions, she actually died of pancreatic cancer. I forgot to tell you that last time.
No.
Yeah, unfortunately. But she helped me so much in my journey as I was leaving. But she started questioning her own faith towards the end there, because she was like, you know, there is a lot of patriarchy within these religions. Like, she started reading religious books. It was, and so we would have these conversations.
You didn't tell her about me, did you?
What? I don't know if it ever came up.
All right.
But yeah, so that was pretty interesting working with her, and very, very helpful. Because when you see a therapist, number one, you realize that you're not crazy.
Right.
That this is emotional abuse.
Yes.
And you learn, and at least in my experiences, I was taught and shown how to celebrate certain things that I didn't know how to celebrate. Right. Like, I remember one time having a conversation with her and her telling me, you know, I was telling her and crying, oh, they said that I had an issue with submission. But I was saying it as if it was a negative thing, as if that said something negative about me as a person.
Right.
And then she said, I would celebrate that.
Right.
Why aren't you celebrating that? That's a wonderful thing. You're not going to just take everyone's answers that are handed to you. You're independent. You think independently. That's beautiful. But again, growing up in the environment I did, independent thinking is literally discouraged.
Of
like
course.
Word for word.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have individual thoughts. It's all for the betterment of the group.
Yes.
I think the entire group needs to take some shrooms and expand their minds. And then somebody gonna wake up like, yo, dog, you're lying. This is bullshit. I'm tired of this. Let's go, people. And it's a mass exodus. Like, out the doors, people skipping down the street like you wanted them to. Swim stairs, you know, la 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 la.
No, it's yeah, and you always get me sidetracked. Imagine everybody leaving now.
I'm just saying, like, you know, it should be so easily, man. It should be so easily.
You would think so, but they know what they're doing. That's all, you know? They know what they're doing.
Well, then there's got to be a way to just kind of beat them at their own game.
Well, I think the internet is starting to do a bit of that.
Yeah.
But a lot of these cults, they're not given any restrictions for certain things that they do. And to be fair, it's important to me that people understand that the individual witnesses, like the rank and file witnesses, you know, they are victims. They really are victims.
Explain that again. Let's say that again for the cheap seats.
Yeah, they are. They are. It's not, even though it hurts that they're treating me in this way, I also understand.
They don't have a choice.
Because I did things I didn't agree with either, thinking that I was doing the right thing.
Did you shun somebody?
I shunned people. I'm not proud of it. I actually apologized to some people after I left. I did because you're taught this is what you have to do.
Well, you and I aren't supposed to be friends.
No.
You know what I'm saying? By every stretch of the imagination, like, I mean, like, shit. Just talking to me, you're sinning. Shit, I'm like, just talking to me, you're doing like, I ain't gonna lie, I am the epitome of everything that's wrong with what they think.
You're mentioning weed on camera.
Right.
You know, they would, look at the pit of where Tiffany has fallen to, you know.
Man, let me tell you something. And I'm gonna speak directly to each and every one of y'all, man. Word up. They can think what they want about you. You know you. I know you. Kids know you. Your family knows you. Now, if they make the decision to treat you untowards because of what some asshole elders think, fuck them. That's their choice. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You continue to be a good, shining, guiding light to those who need that beacon of hope in the darkness. For people who think they're alone with their thoughts of leaving, who think that they're wrong, they're sinners, they're evil, whatever the case may be, whatever they force you to think you are for thinking otherwise, tell them they're not that. You're not that. You're not wrong. You're not evil. You're not a sinner. Mm-hmm. You are nothing but a good person who's trying to find a better way than what you've been taught. Stop coming for my people, man, because I'll fuck you up. Stop coming for my peoples, man. Word up. She falls under my protection, man. Word up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really, really do. It helps, you know. It helps when people leave and they know they have someone in their corner, you know. It does. So be kind. Mm-hmm. That's one thing I'll say, because you truly don't know what a person's going through or why, you know. Even people that are rude or obnoxious or don't seem very friendly, a lot of times there's a story behind that.
Yeah, even a bully is usually getting their ass kicked at home. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we just have to learn how to open our hearts and open our minds and make discerning thoughts. balance, be able to check our own ego and see when somebody else needs help. It's not hard. You just have to want to do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to be hurt. You know what I mean? Like, I've spoken to you. I know you. Like, you're an awesome person. And anybody who can't see that, they're not looking hard enough. You know what I'm saying? And anybody that want to try and down you or deny you happiness because you chose to do what's right for you, again, fuck them. Because at the end of the day, the only person that you really have, like you said, the only person you have control over is yourself. You know what I'm saying? But I genuinely believe that by you living, and I can't believe I'm going to use this cliche, you living your best life, you being happy, you going out there and finding a better path for yourself, that's going to be an inspiration to those who are going to come behind you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, because I know even when I left, I followed a lot of XJW channels. I don't watch them as much anymore because I'm getting to a different place. But when I left, you know, those were like my lifelines. They were, wow, you know, other people that sharing their stories, what they did when they left, and seeing that there's still life outside of it. You know, it was huge.
Well, I'm glad you found it, because I don't want you. Like I said, I don't want you to be hurt. Like it sickens me that there is anybody out there that would think negatively of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that. And I will beat your ass. Like, stop fucking with me, man. Don't fuck with my peoples here. But no, like, I'm glad you're happy. And I'm glad you're safe. You know what I'm saying? Beyond that, if you need help, you reach out. You know what I'm saying? You always have support over here. Like, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Because the truth is, I don't fear the Jehovah's. You can shun me all you want. You know what I mean? You can shun me.
No, they'll try to preach.
Of course they will. Oh yeah, sure they will. And I'll break up weed and roll up on your watchtower. Stop fucking with me. I've done it before. You know, they can do it again.
They'll also tell you that what I'm saying is inaccurate.
Of course they will. And I'll kindly inform them that I believe you way more than I'll ever believe them. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because I have faith in you. It's because I trust and believe you. You know what I'm saying? You have proven yourself to be somebody of high moral character. And you've proven yourself to be somebody of high intelligence. You know what I'm saying? So, heart and mind, that's what matters to me. You know what I'm saying? But that I am how God made me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about who you worship, because that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is how you treat me, and you've always treated me with love and respect and dignity and grace. So I can only give you the same.
And you know, I feel the same way. I have so much respect for the way you treat people. Honestly, because it sounds so strange to be at Walmart and to have a sense of, friendship and connection with someone that I spoke to just a couple of minutes every week, but it meant a lot to me in a time where I didn't have any friendships, you know. Now, with that letter, you know, I have met other people and actually met someone through therapy, which is another funny story.
Good.
But that was leaving too.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes all the difference. It really has. So I have to tell you, I appreciate that about your personality. You know, that you make people feel comfortable.
Good.
You know?
Good. And listen, start a YouTube. Get on the Meet Me app. It's a fantastic way to live stream, just to air out your thoughts, talk to different people, set rules and boundaries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm speaking with this young lady. She's from the UK. I've been talking to her for the last week. You know what I'm saying? But she's like a really, really interesting person. And through her stream, just chilling on her live stream, I've met a bunch of different other really dope people from all over the world. You know what I'm saying? So use your resources. You know what I'm saying? The internet is your friend, and there is probably an app for that.
It's true.
It's probably an app for that. Well, look, Tiff, man, I appreciate you coming through and spending this time with me and sharing your story. We actually fucking got it this time. But no, I definitely appreciate you because I recognize how difficult this is for you, and it takes a lot of courage and strength in order to share this type of story. So I thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Now you come back anytime. You know what I'm saying? And you're, because like honestly, I just like talking to you. So you're more than welcome to just come sit down. And we can just talk. You know what I'm saying? You can have some coffee. You know what I mean? I guess I gotta start getting kombucha, or maybe I just want to make that shit. But like, yo, like, start making kombucha in the tub, like they used to do. But no, like, you know what I'm saying? Just come, sit, relax, talk, and build. Because, you know, the truth is, you may find that it's just it's a wonderful outlet for you to be able to have thoughts that you may normally have for yourself, and then bounce them off somebody. Because that's what I find. I don't like talking to myself in here, because it's like I'm just speaking to the void, and people who will listen to me will just take what I say as gospel, and nobody's checking me on it. Nobody's saying, "Hey, nah, that sounds stupid, Frank." You know. So I like to have a conversation. So I appreciate you for joining me for this one. You're very welcome. That's why I left
it was fun.
That's why I left the throw blanket there too, in case you got a little chilly. You know what I'm saying? No, it's funny. The curtains help, yo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, listen. I want to thank you so much for coming again. I am, of course, your host, Frank Starfire. Tiffany Ealey, ladies and gentlemen. Give her a round of applause. And this has been the Just to Be Frank podcast. I want to thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you next time. One love, abracadabra.
I don't know how you do that. See, the ending and the starting always seems awkward to me. Right? Isn't it?
It usually is.